when I've seen the question, I immediately thought of the three words that have governed my entire professional experience and for the last decades. And this is that I've always strived to be an enabler, a connector and multiplier. I've always been attracted and fascinated by people who showed keen curiosity for things and who felt good in their skin. If your people, your team, could choose their leader today, would they pick you?
Welcome back to the Future of Skills podcast, and today we're addressing another topic as part of the Future of Skills in the Age of AI. We're having in our studio today Miss Angela Crețu, who has spanned her 25 years of her career at 11 distinct roles, making sure that she's got a career where she can look back and encounter all of those different experiences that has led her hereby. Thank you so much for coming over, Angela.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and congratulations from heart for such an initiative. I think it couldn't be more relevant nowadays when you see how dynamic career opportunities are and how confusing can be, especially for somebody at the beginning of this journey, to choose the right opportunities or to develop their skills to find a job or a role that would give them a meaningful journey.
Thank you, Angela. Highly appreciate. And I know that in your role, where you have been part of a company all of these years, and you have seen all those various environments, distinct interactions with various teams in different countries. You've said 60 different countries so far, which all have led you to an inspirational position, the Global CEO of AVON, which you have been appointed to in January 2020. After having been promoted to this position, to your surprise, as you have initially quoted, you've seen this at the time as a mistake even, given the fact that there were so many other applications from some other type of applicants and candidates, whereas in your case you haven't applied and yet you've been selected. And as part of this, the tradition, as per the podcast, we're laying it out with asking the guests to share as how they see themselves in 3 words of their own choice, please.
I didn't know you would start with this tradition, 3 words, but when I've seen the question, I immediately thought of the 3 words that have governed my entire professional experience and for the last decades. And this is that I've always strived to be an enabler, a connector and multiplier. I found tremendous energy and fulfillment. It helped me engage with each and every day at a high intensity, just trying to enable people succeed, connect them with resources, knowledge, connect processes together, or to co-create value by the side of my stakeholders. And this not only in professional life, but generally in life as well. And then try to multiply the value I'm given. And this is how I have made my choices and how I have created new opportunities for myself and for those around myself.
Thank you, Angela. That speaks quite a lot in favor of how your career has unfolded over the years. You have said that you've been part of various environments. You've interacted with many teams, many personality types as well. And you felt at the time intimidated by their way of being, by their way of behaving themselves in the working environment. And I suppose it takes a lot of courage to withstand that and still, as you say, cultivate your own values throughout the time. So with that in mind, can you please let me know, and we're going a little bit from the source, from the very beginning here, if there were any role models as part of your upbringing in the earlier ages of your development, when you were growing up, when you were forming your values, the type of behaviors that you cared about, what would that be, and who would that be as part of your role models at the time?
I mean, looking back, I haven't followed the conventional role models like the stars, like either in arts or music or movie stars. I've always been attracted and fascinated by people who showed keen curiosity for things and who felt good in their skin, not in an arrogant sense, but in a wise one. So seeing people who are engaged with their day in that very day, who live in the present, not in the past, not in the future, who keep that energy of wanting to know and connect with others and have that joie de vivre, the zest for life. To me, that was a role model. And this is how I wanted to live. And I understood that, this can happen at the end with any profession. It's a matter of personal choice.
Sure.
Yet that kind of life experience has always been my target in terms of the lifestyle.
That's reminding me of a position where you're basically open. You're open to opportunities when you're saying that, you're appreciating in others that zest for life, their curiosity, their adaptability at the same time, and the continuous presence moment where, they're in the moment and they're trying to define themselves and their values in the moment. And as part of that, I would probably refer here to another question that I prepared for later, but because it's right context to put it in. This topic about the self-learning mode, the self-discovery, the awareness or self-awareness and discipline as part of some of the core values that one would encounter as crafting himself or herself as a leader. How would you see yourself in a position where you know that you're the one who gets that responsibility of building herself from scratch into the direction where you want to go? You can probably see your vision quite clearly, but at the same time, you know that there are certain pitfalls, there are certain steps along the way that you need to climb on. How have you seen that early on in your career? What were those steps? What were those, values that you need to get along and then reach that mission of yours?
Look what happened. I mean, it's quite easy, especially with the very first promotions, when one has its first, supervisor role or managerial role, to lose the true sense of identity and follow the business card title. Mm-hmm. And that's usually a big mistake. But it was one of my early coaches, who woke me up quite, I would say, early, and I'm very grateful for that. Telling me that who you think you are, because you are not what your business card tells you are. And second, if your people, your team, could choose their leader today, would they pick you? Because I know your boss promoted you. But would your people choose you to be their boss today? And I'm talking today, I'm not talking yesterday, and would be their choice today? Would it be sustainable? So you are their choice tomorrow. In other words, what's in it for them? What's in it for my stakeholders? Mm-hmm. For the fact that I have a certain responsibility and not title again in any given day. What's the value I add to them? Because the reality is that many of the times, a true sustainable career progression, especially in the same company, in my case, for more than 10 times in a row, cannot come just by the boss choice. So you need your thrust, you need your, uplifting energy from people you have worked with. If they feel there is value added to them, to their own careers, their own experience, their own knowledge, obviously they want you to be their multiplier. They want to partner you. Because this is what it's all about, this partnership. Nobody works for anyone. Yes, everyone works for its own values, his own values and the mission, what they want to achieve in life. And we just happen to partner each other for shorter or longer journey. Then this is the key question. Speaking about the self-leadership, is asking yourself in a very sober way. I wouldn't say daily, because it could be daunting. In some of the days, the answers are disastrous. Yet it should be a consistent question. If my people would vote today, would they pick me as their leader? And then how I make that vote, if it's positive, yes, to be sustainable. It keeps you really engaged in learning every day. Yes, because you cannot fail the need of people of new information, new insights, the flow of knowledge, of energy into the organization. It keeps you very attentive and humble to everyone else's needs. What's their plan for life? What's their game? How can you be, again, a partner for them in this journey? Because when you have that basic relationship of co-creating value, and I put the accent on co, the energy, the overall bond that gets to be created, it's really fantastic. It's really fantastic. Very rewarding, not just intellectually, because always in this kind of partnership, learning, keeps you fascinated by everything that it unfolds every day. Sure. By connecting with people, by connecting with new sources of information, but the trust, that emotional, energy at the end between people, it's also very rewarding at the personal level.
Thank you, Angela. You've actually mentioned a few key terms for me. I'm coming from the search marketing, whereby we're focused on keywords, right? So for me, immediately from what you've just shared, two words stood up: co-creation of the values, partnership as part of that, and trust. Now, I know that in your case particularly, and that's the insight that Maria Chворostowski has shared during her interview with myself some time ago, which is yet to be published as well. So it's absolutely in tandem with the same sort of theme. Yes, and the question that I've asked her, what makes a trusted leader? And immediately she's pointed out at the discussion that she's had with yourself at your quite unique case, whereby in your company, when there was a case of researching who might be the next leader that would be chosen for the position of the CEO, they didn't pick the candidates that have applied for the role. They have picked the candidate that was quoted most often as the right leader for them to follow. So that was your candidature, that was your profile. How did that come about, if you don't mind a little bit opening up to that?
All right. So before 2020, we arrived to a point with a legacy of 140 years where the company AVON needed a dramatic transformation from a traditional direct selling company, yes, with a breakthrough innovation, with a range of products that everyone loves, yet it needed to become again a compelling choice for modern women who nowadays shop from so many different channels. So with that transformation, where we needed to reshuffle completely the entire value chain and move resources against the brand, rebuilding the brand, modernizing it, and then opening up the channel from a traditional direct selling to an omni-channel digital retail franchise, creating an easy and modern and gratifying, exciting access to our products. That transformation needed somebody who not only understood very well the challenges that AVON has been through in the last decades, but most important aspect that I think my key stakeholders, the board at that time, had in mind was that knowing the people and having that relationship of trust to move swiftly and compellingly against this new journey of ours. People would easily explore new territories by the side of people they trust, but give them on the unknown against to be explored with people they have not worked so long before, it slows them down. I don't say they couldn't succeed, but it does slow them down. And I think that was the base. Of course, it was a surprise for me. I haven't applied for the job to be a CEO, although AVON has been my life, one of the most beautiful professional journeys that I think there are out there. Yet at that moment in time, I wouldn't, you know, contemplate yet another move to another country after I've worked in so many countries. And moreover, I didn't feel I'm ready for the CEO role. And the board came back, the founders of the Natura & Co., those who made the decision to integrate AVON and create that merger, they considered I'm a better partner for the next chapter for AVON. And my next question was going back to what I just told you, is like, great. Now, after asking them why they have chosen me, although I haven't applied, and they told me the story you've just called out, I wanted to make sure that I never let my people down, especially, being humbled about their trust, and to make sure that I continue adding value to them.
Thank you for sharing this. I feel that, again, another word of interest come around in what you've shared, and that is partner, to be partner to my people. So not only when you've quoted this story, you've made a reference to the objectives that were set by Natura. I assume immediately with the role, or let's say immediately after, they would have come up with, these are our expectations for the job or so forth. But then what you have immediately looked into is the reaction from your people, first and foremost, as opposed to the expectations that you need to meet with the company for the role itself, right? So to me, that speaks of the fact that you put your people first, and the fact that that would need to then come in tandem with the objectives that were set for the role. I'm guessing that was the case. Can you please let me know, how did that paint out, that journey, in terms of making sure that you're accounting for your people, but at the same time meeting the objectives of the role? How did that come about, that merger?
So, and I think it's extremely important, because people in general are either looking at emotional value of a certain process in life or in business, or the commercial value, the value, the financial value.
You got me exactly there.
I would argue it maximizes both of the values, putting people and purpose first. Because once the people are engaged for a certain objective that they feel it's adding value to them personally, their engagement, their participation goes beyond their time and experience against a compensation. And that energy cannot be easily bought. Yes, it has to be created. And people call it culture, but it comes with a why. Why the people chose a certain place, a certain environment, a certain community, and while the motives can vary, they come maybe for a compensation, either they come for the purpose. At the end, they all find the extra dimensions of what keeps them in a certain role, or why will they want to spend their life there. Now being back to the process of having people by your side. I've always, by the way, I even signed my emails always by your side. I made sure that my people hear from me in all their important moments. Yes, from the anniversary of their time at AVON or their birthday, they would directly from me, they will hear, and they will be able to have at least 2 contacts a year. And we'll talk about 20,000 employees. And I made it in a semi-automated, yet always open for a short exchange, a personal message, to understand that we are partnering in this journey. I've never found the hierarchical ego systems working pretty well. That is the 80s, the Jack Welch era. Nowadays, the market is moving so fast. The innovation, it's going at such speed that decisions in one company cannot stay at the latitude of just 1 to 10 executives in the company. That would slow down the company tremendously, and that's why we see mega companies already struggling. An ecosystem with organizational structure that is flat, fast, focused. It's the new network based in a way, instead of 11 layers of management, as it was maybe, and still is in many of the companies, all with a complicated matrix, very complicated matrix setup. That there is not a bigger killer of empowerment and people engagement than not to be clear at the individual level what's the value they add to the game and what's the reward they get back, and how their efforts are visible beyond their upline. Yeah, so once you create full visibility, it first of all, it's increasing performance because there's no too much room for mediocrity. But equally for those who are extraordinary with a high potential, that visibility, it's automatically their multiplier. The sense of partnership, again, exits the ego from the process. Because once this clear message comes from the top that nobody works for anyone in this company, nobody works for me, therefore I expect no one else to work for somebody else. We all work exactly for the objectives we set together as a beauty company, for the purpose we set together as a community, as a movement we created for women around the world. And we work for your own, each one of your personal career, professional journeys. That's it. And therefore, there is then no pleasing, too much pleasing required that would deter, the speed of progress. And I don't say it was perfect. This is not a utopian story, obviously. But that dismantling of the multi-layered organization has helped us tremendously in resetting the culture.
Thank you for this answer, Angela. What I'm coming out with as an insight from what you were saying is that partnership, or creating that bonding with your employees, with your team members, is crucial to start with. You've mentioned yourself that even though there might have been an element of automation when it comes with creating contacts with the employees, but you preserve that to make sure that you are by their side, not just in words, but also in action. Would you see that is close or more in tandem, coming in tandem with the processes around appraisal? Or is that more informal when it comes to laying out those accountability or deliverables? How would you see this happening? Because I appreciate that from your level as a CEO, you would then have some other enablers as part of your team who would then continue the journey and enable those particular deliverables with their own team members. So how would that happen? How would you keep that structure solid?
So one is we talk about empowerment, and when we talk about empowerment, we aim that every associate, yes, outside of their job remit, they would have the right engagement and as well power to make on decisions that would increase the value. Yes, either they see something happening in their marketplace, yes, in their location, that it's either an opportunity or a threat or a challenge, or they see a new idea. Speaking about sustainability, nowadays we are all looking for ways to increase our efficiency, productivity, finding new ways to convert, money that are sunk in a heavy infrastructure and transfer them into new fuel for growth. Yes, to support the brand or new business model and so on. So for that, you need an army of people. Yes. That cannot happen just by creating one strategy at the top and then cascading it down. That will take years till it becomes a new way of working. But once a framework is created with a very clear why and very clear where we go, yes, the purpose is there, and objectives, a mission is there. But framework, it's giving them each and every associate partner in this journey, giving them the opportunity that outside of the job, which is very well, by the way, coded in terms of KPIs of the value they need to produce. But it gives them as well the opportunity to add on and look for new ways to find new partners, either in different countries or in different departments, to come on with the ideas, celebrating both success and failure. And I think this is extremely important, because I'm celebrating the experience of learning. From failure, I learned the most in my life. So why wouldn't I celebrate that, as long as nobody dies?
Fair enough.
Right? As long as nobody dies. I think with responsible people around, there is tremendous learning. Optimally, fast learning, and in a way that would still enable us to self-correct or try an alternative. But that you do with people who are empowered. And I do not believe in just calling from the top, hey, from nowadays, this is an empowering culture, because I empower you from now on to take a stand and call out, new ideas, or I'm empowering you to make decisions. If the system is not wired as such in terms of level of the organizations, decisional process, delegation of authority, all these are processes in any given company who are setting how that company is governed. And if for a tiny decision they still need 10 levels of approval, waiting for months for something which was supposed to be no-brainer, that defines the likelihood of success of that company in nowadays world.
So you've mentioned that there are a few core elements as part of this journey. The decision-making is probably one of the key ones when it comes to exercising the empowerment at any given level of the company structure. But that shouldn't be coming from the top. They should have their own frameworks of how to put that in action. It comes with the objectives clearly set up, as you said yourself. Each role comes with those KPIs in mind, but at the same time, given the fact that they are aware that there is this partnership in place, that then excludes, I'm quoting your words, the mediocrity. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I find quite interesting when it comes to this idea of linking up, being the bridge between how the understanding unfolds when it comes to processing the objectives from within. And with that, I remember most recently, and hence something that incentivized this topic of how do you create great leaders as part of your own team. There was this quote that I read in a book most recently, saying that a British author, 𝗷𝗵𝗻𝗀, has once quoted that there were tourists coming to a remote picturesque village in England who, with a bit of an air of a little bit of personification and perhaps some superiority, were asking a local villager if there were some great man born in the village, to which he absolutely laid back gave him an answer saying that no, only babies were born here. So to me, that gives the impression that yes, there needs to be a little bit more of an understanding around how do you frame those great, or the concept of a great person, a great leader, and how do you help the others become great leaders as part of your team. Do you think as part of your team there were enough tools, enough resources to help them go and get those enablements and to succeed at becoming leaders themselves?
It's never enough. However, I had the benefit, and together with me, thousands of other people I know that they've built their careers at AVON. We've had at all times access to mentors, coaches, peer bodies, to hear from, learn in full comfort together with a peer of yours. Access to institutional knowledge of any kind, yes, from a marketeer who wanted to become a supply chain specialist. We would offer this cross-functional knowledge for people who were still at the beginning of their career, and they realized that they would like to explore more before they make place their bets. So we would have all those conventional tools. Outside of that, I equally called for the last 4 years that every associate would have a personal development meeting with their upline monthly. I mean, in that month checkup, we don't talk about anything else but my enablers,
That's very
environment, what have I learned, what else I could learn, what are potential challenges. And that has became an institutionalized process. Mm-hmm. Of course, some leaders were better than others in running this, but it happened. I think a great leader is actually a keen follower. And with that, I hope I said it all. To me, great leaders are not those sitting on the top of a hill with everyone looking at them at their solitary position out there, or in the on the back, pushing people forward, being afraid to take, to have the courage to explore those new territories by themselves. Somebody who would literally connect people, be there an enabler for them, and being visible as a value creator. And then people naturally gather around these pulsating points of energy. And for that, it's required really lots of self-discipline to keep up the pace so people see that value.
Thank you, Angela. And it's quite insightful knowing what makes a great leader in your view. Yeah. The fact that, it needs to be the person who gives enough reason to be seen as accessible. And at the same time, a person who is a connector, links up everybody else with the set of common values, I suppose, something that he has shown that he cares about, that everybody else cares about also. Tune in for part 2, which skills earn promotions?